Wow, straps. Wow.
Hello, how you doing today? This is Mr. Nullum. This is the first video on drones. Today we're going to talk about Newton's laws. Now, when I think of Newton's laws, I always think about when I was a kid, and I used to always think about Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was one of my favorite shows growing up. I loved anime, and one of the biggest things I really loved about Dragon Ball Z was the flying. I used to just always think about, man, I wish I was Goku, I wish I was Piccolo, and I could fly. Now, obviously I'm human, I can't fly, but I used to always think about if I wasn't like a human being, I was like a superhero and I had this flight, how would that happen? So today we're going to talk about flight, and specifically we're going to talk about Newton's third law. Okay, Newton's third law says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So that means that if I move, something else is going to push against me. And when we're talking about flying, we're talking about forces, and we're talking about net forces total, and what are those forces that are contributing to this motion. Okay, so we're going to talk about just specifically what are these forces as it relates to flight, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about the physics of that. All right, welcome back everyone. So this is a video of a first person view of a drone. Now, drones are very special because they can fly far distances. And all you have to do is control it from a remote. This is very key because when you're talking about transferring things, we're talking about transporting things, it's very important to make sure you have a flight or some type of aerospace device that can fly without costing you too much. Airplanes, they come with fuel, they're massive, it comes with a lot of things. Drones are very special because they're cheap and they can fly really big distances. Now, the key of today, we're going to talk about Newton's laws and how they contribute to flight. And you're going to have a question that I'm going to kind of lead you through. How do we fly? If I know the four forces, what is the balance of the four forces need to be in order for me to fly? Okay, do I need to have a lot of weight in order for me to fly? Do I need to have a lot of drag in order for me to fly? Do I need to have a lot of lift in order for me to fly? Or do I need to have a lot of thrust? Or is it the balance of those four? Okay, so we're going to talk about essentially what is flight and what are the forces that contribute to that, and how do Newton laws also contribute to that. Okay, so now when we look at this picture here, we have two pictures. We have a airplane, which is on my left, and I have a drone, which is to my right. Now, what's on the airplane and on the drone are called forces. Now, in your force reference sheets, you have a variety of different forces. There are only four that we care about: thrust, lift, drag, and weight. Now, when we're talking about thrust, lift, drag, and weight, we're talking about what is the balance between those two forces or those four forces when we're flying. In order for me to fly, what do I need to have more of in order for me to go up? And that is going to be your question. If I want to fly, what is the balance of lift, thrust, weight, and drag? What are the numbers? What do the numbers need to be? For example, let's say I have a drone, okay? And let's say this drone weighs 50 newtons, okay? So it weighs 50 newtons. So the earth is pushing it down with 50 newtons. And I want that to go up. What value does my lift need to be, force lift need to be, in order for me to move up? Okay? Does it need to be greater than my weight? Does it need to be equal to my weight? Or does it need to be more than my weight? Okay? So if we look at this, the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, if I'm going up, then I'm moving in a positive direction. If I'm going down, then I'm moving in a negative direction. Okay? So let's say my lift force was 60 newtons. Okay? So I will make an equation. I would say the net force in the y direction, because it's going up and down, is going to be positive FL, because FL is pointing up, minus FG. Okay? So FL, we said, was 60 newtons, and FG, we said, was 50 newtons. If I do the math is going to tell me that if this is positive, then this is moving up. If this is negative, then this is going down. So 60 minus 50 gives me 10 newtons. So this is a positive 10 newtons. So that says the total net force in the y direction is going to be 10 newtons, and it's positive. So that means that this is going to go up. Okay? So when we're talking about doing net forces, we have to figure out what are the net forces, what is the summation of those net forces, and then how can I find those net forces from doing the math. Okay, so hopefully this video helps you. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Wow, straps.